Now let's take a look at the different discrimination patterns and other features of the ACE 400. Use the mode plus or minus buttons to switch between 4 preset discrim patterns or create your own custom pattern. In zero disc, nothing is notched. All 12 pixels are active. Use this mode when a target signal is inconsistent or when you don't know exactly what type of metal you're looking for. Jewelry ignores most iron trash, but finds rings, watches, bracelets, and other types of jewelry. Custom saves your own discrimination pattern and the detector will remember it when you turn it off and back on again. Relics mode eliminates most small iron, but it keeps lead, brass, bronze, and other low conductors in play. Coins is designed to find all US coins and eliminate common trash like foil, iron, and pull tabs. Be aware that some small jewelry could be missed with this pattern. With notch discrimination, there's 2 ways you can get rid of something you don't want to dig again. I've got a tab here I put on the ground, just a piece of trash. So I'll go over it. It's reading around 59. So I can just stop and manually use my plus and minus keys and go over and eliminate that item. Get to where it shows up right about there around that 60 mark. Maybe I'll do one more just to make sure it's out of there. Now I'm seeing a target ID cursor, but that guy's gone. I'm not picking up that trash target. I can put cursors back in again, remove things, put them back in just simply by pushing that elim button back and forth. Now, the other way, if I want to get rid of a target like that, when I go over it and I see it, I can simply hit elim while that pixel is highlighted at the top. Now it's gone. There are 4 minor frequency adjustments that you can use in order to minimize interference caused by electrical sources or by other metal detectors. To switch frequencies, hold down the elim button and change the setting with the discrim plus or minus buttons. There are also 8 levels of sensitivity. Increase sensitivity when you're searching for a very small item or a very deep item. Other times you might want to decrease sensitivity is when the machine is behaving erratically due to excessive metallic trash or highly mineralized grounds. One important thing about your metal detector is knowing how to pinpoint properly. Of course, the ACE comes with electronic pinpointing, but let's go through a few different options of how you can do this. Pinpointing helps you dig a target quicker, lets you dig a smaller hole, and get on about your business of finding your next target that much faster. So to demonstrate, I've got a silver coin. Got a hole here a couple inches deep. I'm gonna put it in the ground, cover it back over and bury it, level that out. And then for demonstration purposes, I have this little blue plastic chip. I'm gonna put that right dead center over where we buried the coin. That way you can kind of visually see what's going on as we pinpoint. Now the first one we're gonna go through is just the basic electronic pinpointing with your pinpoint button. So let's use the pinpoint button and go through this first step. Okay, your standard pinpointing using your electronic pinpoint button, what you want to do is as you find a target out in the field, we've got our planted target here of course, but when you find something, move your coil to the side of it before you hit pinpoint because you don't want to tune out your target. Then hold down the pinpoint button. You'll see PP come up on the screen for pinpoint, and then go back and forth, slowly back and forth over the target. You'll see the bars increase and the audio increase. Then go forward and backward. Basically, X marks the spot until you've got the loudest audio and the strongest number of pixels. That's the center of your target. So I want to dig right there. Now some people like a different style of pinpointing. They like to pinpoint off either the tip or the tail of the coil. So we're going to go through both of those methods next. And the first is going right off the very tip end of this double D coil, and the other is off the very tail of it. So let's go in here close and take a look at this. So you got a target. You use the same electronic pinpoint button, hold it down, and go back over it. You got your strong signal. Now just pull the coil away from you. The audio dives off and the signal dives off. Right off the tip into that coil is where your target's going to be. Other way is go back over it, pinpoint, and push forward until the audio dives off and the meter dives off at the top. Your target's going to be just off the tail end of the coil. If it's really deep, it might be just inside the coil. If it's shallow, it's going to be right at the back of the coil or just off the end of it. One final pinpointing method with this double D coil. You can do this without even using the pinpoint button. It's what some people call the wiggle or the DD wiggle method. Let's take a look at that real quick. Okay, with the DD coil, you can just wiggle it tightly back and forth over your target area and pinpoint where it is. So we picked up a target, and without even using the pinpoint button, I can just step to the side and begin wiggling it real tight back and forth, moving slowly toward it until I'm just nailing that target under the center of my coil. I can even move forward till it dies, or pull back until it dies, and I know it's right off the tip or the tail, just like we did with the other method. But again, this is just wiggling this DD back and forth in a tight area with no pinpoint button being used. To better understand your ACE 400, it's recommended that you do some bench tests. You can also do some tests out in a plot, make you a little dirt plot out there, dig it in the yard, make sure all the metal's out of the dirt. Once you've got it completely clean, you can use that to bury targets. But before you do that, start out with just air testing them, bench testing them. In this case, you want to have the coil very level and away from any metallic objects that could affect your target ID. But make some notes as you scan some targets. So I'll start with an iron object, just a washer. Low tone, low numbers. Here's a piece of aluminum foil. Find this stuff all the time in the parks. It's more of a mid-tone. It's up in the high 30s. Depending on the size of it, that number could be all over the place. Here's an iron nail. Notice as you change the direction of a piece of iron to the coil, it can affect the numbers. They can go up and down quite a bit based on how that iron is being encountered by your search coil. Same thing when you put these objects in the ground and bury them. Put them at different angles and take note of how the target ID can be affected by the ground and the orientation. So a lot to be learned from dirt tests and from air tests. Higher targets. Silver coin hits up in the 90s. Buffalo nickel. 48.50 range, somewhere in there. Indian head penny. Low 80s. Again, you know, look at the environment you're in, look at the ground you're in. All those can have influences on your target ID. But learn some basic things by just doing air tests at the bench. The iron that we showed sounds like iron, no problem. Bottle caps, however, they can sound like a great target, especially out in the park where there's lots of beer caps and Coke caps out there. That sounds good. One way to check it is with your iron audio. So to do a bench test on the iron audio, put some discrim into play. In this case, I'll just go from 0 disc mode, where I was doing all my testing, down to jewelry, which has a bunch of pixels of iron notched out. Guess what? It still sounds pretty good, but if I go back in and check to see if there's any discriminated iron by using iron audio, now I hear that distinctive flanking grunt sound, the low tone iron, as I'm coming and going from that target. That tells me it's not clean and pure like a coin. Double check your iron audio. Take one of those silver coins again and scan it. Nice and clean versus all that noise going on. So go to 0 disc mode to start with. Make sure you're in a clean environment and do some testing of targets, make some notes, and then test them outside in a clean patch of dirt. The more you understand the target ID, the more you'll do in the field, the better you'll do with this ACE 400. So best of luck.